Hey everyone, we're trying this again the old-fashioned way. We're trying to get some new capabilities going, and it's just not working in our favor. Anyways, today we are going to be talking about cholesterol. And in case you forgot or you haven't met us yet, then I am Dr. Smith from Accomplished Health and Wellness, and I do family medicine. And this is Heather Fiore from Free State Nutrition, and she is a registered dietitian. And so, we were going to start out with, we're going to talk about cholesterol, each of the little pieces, break it down for you. And then we're also going to just talk about how you can modify your cholesterol. So, that way, if you're not wanting to do medicine or you're wanting to do supplements or just whatever, then
maybe you want to just keep your medication dose.
Yeah, or minimal. Maybe you just want to modify your cholesterol. So, anyways, I didn't have any tea today because my life is crazy right now. So,
yeah,
sorry. I've got water.
I got nothing.
Lots of water. So, anyways, we were going to start with total cholesterol. And your total cholesterol is just a calculated value. So we want it to be less than 200. We got a high. Yay! Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us. That's always good. So anyways, we want to talk about the total. So the total is a calculated value, and it really depends on all the other factors as to whether it's high or not. So we say we want your total cholesterol less than 200, but if it's a little bit high, it may not necessarily be a bad thing, okay?
So don't freak out.
Yeah. So we're going to just kind of talk about the little pieces that go to your total.
Okay.
So one of them is going to be your LDL, which is your bad cholesterol. And your bad cholesterol, you want your bad cholesterol to be as low as you can get it, right? So you want your LDL to be low, okay? So we want this to be less than 130, but optimal is actually less than 100. And if you have diabetes or heart disease or anything like that, you actually want it less than 70. So, and there's different components to your LDL. So there's good LDL and there's bad LDL. And so, I just thought it was LDL, right?
I mean, you think these things are simple enough, like you get your little results and, oh, my total is high or it's low, and my bad cholesterol is this or that. Turns out it's complicated.
It is so complicated.
That's why these people go to medical school.
Yeah. And so, so your LDL is made of good LDL and bad LDL. And good LDL is kind of like this big fluffy LDL. I think of it like cotton candy. Kind of looks like cotton candy. It floats around in there. It's not bad like cotton candy, but it kind of looks fluffy, big. And then you have your bad LDL, which is small, dense LDL, which that's a lot of times what they talk about in the news and everything is your small, dense LDL. And so what happens is you have this big LDL. And the more cholesterol and the more sugar and bad stuff that you have in your system, that big fluffy LDL will actually start to shrink down, and it shrinks down into what we call small dense LDL. And so it's kind of like, I like to think of it like cotton candy, because if you touch the cotton candy with your tongue, then it shrinks down, right?
Yeah, it does.
So, and then it has this
it's all sticky,
sugary outside coating, right? And that's kind of what happens to your small dense LDL. It kind of has this sticky coating that kind of goes on it. And it's really small and dense. And so it can get into your smallest blood vessels. And that's what makes it so bad for you, because it's kind of sticky and it gets into your small blood vessels. And when it gets in there, it bounces around, because as you go from like a big diameter vessel to a smaller diameter vessel, you have more turbulence in the blood. And so it bounces around. And then, it might find some place that it wants to stick at. And when it sticks there, it releases this substance that makes it even more sticky. So as these other small dense LDLs are floating along and they bump into it because there's more turbulence, then they stick. and then that one creates another, that releases some more chemical, makes it sticky, and then the more and more and more. And as you can see, the more that comes along and sticks to it and gets stickier, the bigger this thing is going to be. And that's how you create a plaque in your vessels. And so that's why the small dense LDL is so bad for you. The big fluffy stuff, it's more like transporter, but it doesn't really get into those small vessels and do that. It's not actually sticky on the outside either.
Yeah. Are there good ways to know this? I mean,
you can do some other calculations, which when we get further along, we'll kind of talk about that.
All right.
But how can we modify this bad cholesterol?
Right. So for this LDL, the big thing is fiber. Okay.
Yeah, we talk about fiber a lot.
We have talked about fiber a lot. So go back and watch your
fiber video.
tea time videos about fiber.
Yes.
The biggest thing, the most important type of fiber is your soluble fiber, which we've also talked about a lot. So legumes being number one source. Okay. You're gonna have to eat legumes if you want to eat a lot of soluble fiber. Fruits and vegetables have soluble fiber too, but it's like a couple of grams here and there. It's not a lot.
Sure.
So unless you're eating like excessive amounts of fruits and vegetables, you're going to need some legumes in there. Also, a couple of whole grains like oats, like Cheerios say they're good for your heart. And this is why, because oats have soluble fiber. Barley also does. What are some other ones? Rye, but rye is kind of
we don't get a lot of rye other than Reuben's. And I'm pretty sure that then you fry the bread and it's
like how much rye is really in there? Like
how good is it for you after you put a Reuben on it?
Maybe not. Maybe not so good for your heart,
right?
Per se. Nuts and seeds also. We don't think of them as being fiber sources. We think of that as protein and fat, but it's also fiber. Okay. So yay for nuts and seeds. Yeah. And then of course, chia.
Yes. Chia kind of when I think of chia, it reminds me of that soluble fiber because the soluble fiber kind of blows up like the chia.
Yeah.
And then that soluble fiber, right? It goes in and kind of
pick stuff up.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's like a pipe cleaner.
So then you aren't absorbing a lot of that stuff because it's mixed in the fiber.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so for sure.
So that might be a way that it's picking up and lowering your LDL. Maybe it's picking up so you're not absorbing it.
Yeah, possibly not.
Cleaning the pipes. It's important.
Yes. And then there is a supplement, psyllium husk, particularly. If you're getting fiber supplements, look for psyllium husk. That's a good soluble fiber source.
Yes.
Obviously, I think food is the place to get your fiber. But
exactly,
if not, go for some psyllium husk. Yeah. If you just can't get it from food. Overall, and I think I've said this before too, that overall it's really hard to get the right amount of fiber without eating grains. Right. Because like I said, fruits and vegetables, you have a couple of grams here and there. It's not a large amount. If we want to get up to 25 to 35 grams,
you have to do some grains.
You're going to eat some grains. You got to
some chia or some,
you got to
legumes.
Eat a variety of things that have fiber.
Someone who's doing a low carb diet, not getting the fiber.
Yeah, this is why people often are constipated when they're on these diets, right? They're just not getting a lot of fiber.
Yeah,
it's not hard to imagine. Okay, so other things you want to do for your LDL cholesterol is eat more regularly. Like instead of eating once or twice a day, which just seems really hard to imagine, but there are people that
I don't know how they do it. I get hangry. But you're talking about multiple small meals throughout the day.
Yeah, small frequent meals. Maybe like a bird, or just a person that gets hungry often.
I get hungry all the time. I don't miss a meal.
Yeah. So every couple of hours, every 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
Time to eat a meal or a snack.
Or two.
Limiting saturated fat. So this is your meat, mainly animal fats, but there's a little caveat because dairy
is different.
Also saturated fat, but it's different for some reason.
Probably because it has those other minerals in it, vitamins and minerals.
We're just guessing, but sure.
But butter, you're saying.
But butter,
See, I'm
is
still like kind of thrown off on this. Like
I
I can't
know.
figure it out. I'm gonna have to do some research
Do
just
some
on
research.
the butter
hmm
because it's still an animal fat coming from the same cow, and the
Mhm.
sour cream and the cheese is
Right.
fine, but not the butter.
Right, but so is the meat, right? Like
Right,
beef is
grass-fed.
also coming from a cow, but it's no good. I mean, it's not
Right.
no good, but
Yeah.
the saturated fat part is not good for your heart. Neither is the butter. Dairy, milk, cheese, yogurt are in their own little category, and they don't contribute to high cholesterol.
Interesting.
I know it's a little mysterious. It's
It
sort of
is.
emerging research, but this part we know. Like the why is not really there, but we know that that's the case.
So what do you think about, I wonder if they ever did research on like grass-fed beef butter
Right.
versus just because a lot of the butter out there that's
Mhm.
not plant-based is going to be the dairy, the butter that's like not grass-fed beef.
Yes, right. Just
That's out there.
regular old
Yeah.
conventional.
We all know that those cows have more omega-6 in them
Mhm.
than omega-3. So that would make
Right.
sense that that butter wouldn't be good.
Right.
But what if you're doing grass-fed beef butter?
I mean, I can think there's a good guess that it's probably better, but we don't know. Like that research has just not been done. Like
We should
you're
tell
way
somebody.
ahead of the curve here. Like
Yeah.
that is just
We need to tell somebody to do this.
somebody get on that. Yes, somebody out there.
So we can eat our butter, please. But maybe not putting it in your coffee. Have you heard of that?
Yes. What is it called? Bulletproof coffee.
Yeah, bulletproof.
What is that? Why?
I don't know.
It's curious. People just drink coffee. Okay. Why do you have to do weird things? I don't know.
What does the butter do to it?
I really don't know. And I don't know, like, do those people say that it should be like grass-fed,
Probably.
cow
Yeah.
butter? Probably.
And are they doing that instead of cream?
Oh, yeah.
But then you're saying that the cream would be better anyway.
Cream might be better. How do you like that?
Interesting.
Bulletproof coffee.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
Why is
there's
it
a lot
called
of
bulletproof?
I mean, seriously, couldn't tell you. There's a lot of trends out there, like coconut oil, right?
Oh,
Coconut oil is a
yeah.
big thing, and people
And
seem
we
to think that it's healthier.
But we
it's-
decided it's probably better as massage oil.
Right.
Yeah.
It is saturated fat, just like butter and,
But it's
lard and all that other
plant,
stuff. I
right?
know it's plant-based, but still to the body, it's the same.
Hmm.
So, so anyway, use your coconut oil if it's a flavor that you're looking for, not because you think it's health food.
Right. All in moderation anyway, right?
Right. Nobody's saying like you can't ever do these things.
Right.
No, trans fat, of course.
Oh.
We've talked about trans fat before. There is no like acceptable limit, like amount of trans fat that's safe at this point.
Right. That means you don't eat any of it.
Right. And so that means like if the government can agree that we should, like to the point that trans fat is banned, like if that's the consensus, like you better believe like it's pretty solid research.
Right.
Right. I mean,
they don't ban anything.
No, they don't ban anything. But trans fat has been banned. So so it shouldn't be in our food. Like the whole
partially hydrogenated
Mhm.
oils, right? That's
Right.
what we're looking
it
for.
should be good, but check anyway.
I have seen one recently. Yeah, so you do need to look at your labels.
Yeah, it's not
'Cause I've
supposed to
seen
be
it.
there, but it might be. So
Yeah.
look for that. Partially hydrogenated oils.
Mhm.
And then the other place you might get trans fat would be like if you were out at a restaurant and you get like French fries or something.
Oh yeah.
Because of fried food, like
Yeah.
the oil that they
They-
deep fry in tends to be
the
a
bad
source
stuff.
of trans fat. I
Yeah.
don't know what it is. It's not the
But
same as you would do.
are we allowed to do that? Like,
Are
don't
the
they have to
restaurants allowed?
change that too?
I don't know. You would think,
Right?
but
Like, if it's
restaurants have different regulations
But
than
it's
like.
still food.
I don't know. I mean, you're applying logic where
Yeah,
there's
that's
no
true.
logic here, so I'm not
we're-
sure
Yeah. Okay.
where you're trying to go with
Okay.
that argument. All right, so then there's soy. Okay, so soy protein is actually beneficial to your LDL, like all on its own, but it's also a source of soluble fiber if you're eating like soybeans.
Right.
So you kind of have a double whammy there.
But you have to be like kind of conscientious of how you're getting your soy, don't you?
Right. I mean, it
Like-
should be like a whole food soy.
Right.
Right.
Not like a in my food soy.
Yes.
You
We're
know what I
talking
mean.
tofu here, people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're talking about edamame and
Yeah.
like soybeans.
Yeah.
Like,
Not like this has soy in the product.
right, like
on the
isolate soy
ingredients.
protein
Yeah.
stuff.
We're not talking about that.
No.
That doesn't really help, right?
No.
No.
That's, yeah.
Okay.
That's way processed and that's not really,
Not good.
not so good for your heart.
No.
Okay. So there is plant stanols and sterols that have been shown to lower LDL by some degree. And I
Amount.
want to say it's 15 to 20%
Yeah.
or something.
Maybe.
So there are foods that have those in them. There's like some butters
Which I think
and
is
stuff.
better.
Yes and no,
Maybe.
because the thing about the butter is like you'd have to use a substantial amount of butter,
Yeah.
or it's not butter, it's margarine, right? It's a margarine and it's got this stuff added to it. Like if you already use a whole lot of that kind of stuff, my first recommendation might be to eat less of it, not like, oh, just swap it out for this other one.
Oh,
You know,
Right.
like how many tablespoons per day of that stuff is really going to be
right.
good for you?
Right.
Um,
That's true.
So another option is those little chews that you can get where, you eat a couple a day or a couple per meal,
Oh, like the
like
Benecol and like cholesterol and stuff like that.
and then cardio
So,
chews.
one of those, like, I have had some people on those, and I just haven't seen the results
Mhm.
that I would hope for. I haven't quite seen like the 20%,
Yeah.
at all.
Okay.
but I think everyone's different too.
Mhm.
So, what one person responds to is going to be completely different than what somebody else responds to.
I mean, the reality is like, do you want to keep eating these chews or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
one person I knew was eating 6 a day, like 3 times a day.
That's
That's
a lot.
a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. And cholesterol is kind of funny because you can sit at a table and mom can eat the same thing that dad eats, and then mom's cholesterol is high and dad's cholesterol is not.
Mhm.
And that is because everyone processes cholesterol differently. That's genetic. And
Right.
so, that's why family history and all of that is important,
Mhm.
because you're going to process cholesterol the way the rest of your family processes cholesterol, because that's how you got your genes, right? So,
Pretty much.
if you're the one that got the bad genes, then you can thank that parent because that's where you got it from. Okay, so that's why we always ask about heart disease and all that in young people, because that gives us an indication of, what are we striving for with your cholesterol.
Right. I think it's a really important point that, there are things you can do to your lifestyle that might affect your cholesterol,
Mhm.
but they also might not,
Right.
which doesn't mean don't do those things because maybe they're still
No.
good for you. But it also means that there are things out of your control, like your genes,
Right.
that, you might still need to go on medicine.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that you've
doesn't mean
failed.
you failed. Right. I mean, you obviously want to make, when you're attacking your cholesterol, you want to make your diet the best you can make it.
Mhm.
And you want to be exercising, because that's going to be what you can control. If at the end it didn't come down to where it needs to be and your diet looks good and you've been exercising and putting in all the effort,
Right.
then that means that the rest of it is genetic. And so sometimes you need medicine to help with that.
Right. And aren't we lucky to live in a time when we have medicine to
We
help
do,
us?
yeah.
We don't have to just.
Yeah,
Deal
so there
with
are
high
people
cholesterol.
out there that need statins.
Mhm.
I always encourage people to try lifestyle modifications first
Right.
before trying statins, because statins do have a pretty interesting side effect profile.
Mhm.
And also something to realize, especially with statins, is they work great. But they can also they just lower everything
Hmm.
in your cholesterol. So your total is going to go down because obviously everything else goes down. And I've seen them really drop your HDL into the 20s. Like I've actually seen someone on a statin with an HDL of 18.
Whoa.
which is so scary. It's like no HDL at all, right? So great, their LDL is 70 or 67 or something, but what does that mean about their HDL? Like, what do I do with that? I'm not
Right.
really sure.
Mhm.
Statins, they do seem to decrease inflammation, which is also a part of plaque formation. So there is that added benefit, but it also lowers everything in your cholesterol. So that said, if your other cholesterol is lowered too low, then men, well, anyone, but we see it a lot in men, is that you can get erectile dysfunction because you don't have the cholesterol precursor to make the hormone, right?
Wow.
But you can see it also in women with like orgasmic dysfunction or decreased libido, stuff like that in women as well. Also, if your total cholesterol is less than 150, it's also linked to like depression and mood instability. And so we see that a lot with men going on statins. They'll become irritable and or moody, and that's often because their cholesterol becomes too low. So there is too low too, so
Yikes.
all these things that you have to watch for.
Well, that is an interesting little segue to talk about HDL, right? Because
HDL is your good
we
cholesterol.
think of that as the good cholesterol.
Yeah. And so your HDL, you want that to be as high as you can get it. So H for high, L for low,
Yes.
right? So kind of a little way to remember it. So with your HDL, we want everyone to be above 40, okay? Anything less than 40 is considered a heart risk. So we want it to be above 40. For men, we want above 40. For women, we actually want above 50. I tell everyone just shoot for above 45, right? If you're above 60, that's actually cardioprotective.
Okay.
And so when there's like calculations that you can do for heart disease risk, and you actually get to take a point away if you're above 60 because it's protective. So you add up all the numbers and then you could subtract one because, you're above 60. So above 60 is good. I hardly ever see that except for like wine, regular wine drinkers. I see that 60s to 70s.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty consistently. If it's above 70, sometimes that can be linked with heart disease. It's kind of weird how like that happens, but sometimes that can happen. And so
nothing is straightforward here.
Right?
Gosh.
It's not ever easy.
No.
Why can't I have the easy button? Anyways, we do want this to be as high as we can get it, which most people, I tell everyone to strive for 60s if they're really shooting for it.
Okay.
So like one way you can modify this is exercise, regular exercise. And we recommend that you're exercising at least 60 minutes on most days of the week.
Right.
And that doesn't have to be all at once. It can be broken up during the day into 10-minute increments or whatever. And so something to strive for.
Yes.
But we can modify it with food too, right?
So the same, like very similar to the LDL, the fiber, the soluble fiber, and all that good stuff. That is similar, but you also and the saturated fat, and more like monounsaturated fats, like olive oil and canola oil and peanut oil. Those are going to help you get your HDL up a little bit.
Okay.
And then there's omega-3 fatty acids. And so the places to get omega-3 fatty acids, and these will, I'm going to skip ahead just slightly to mention triglycerides because omega-3s both raise your good cholesterol, your HDL, and lower your triglycerides. So fatty fish, right? Salmon, tuna,
and there's a good tuna.
sardines.
What is the good tuna?
The good tuna, and not for omega-3s because it's in
But
both,
mercury,
but for
right?
mercury, if you're concerned, and you probably should be,
Right. We should be concerned about
you
everything.
want the light tuna,
Light tuna.
light for low mercury.
So when you're picking tuna, would it be better to do that tuna in olive oil? Or does that really make a difference?
I guess, you might as well.
If you're just adding in some omegas.
You're
right?
adding that monounsaturated fat on top of your omegas. But it's also a preference, right? How you like your tuna, eat it how you like it, because that's really the most important thing is that you're eating it.
So light
Light
is what we're
versus
going
the
to.
white
Versus
albacore.
white. Light versus white.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, like, so, I mean, I say sardines. There's a few people out there that like sardines, a little pasta. It's true. I am not one of them. I don't eat fish, but people in my family do.
I can't even smell it when the can gets opened. I gotta leave the house.
But anyway, if you're into that sort of thing, great for
They're
omega-3.
super salty from what I hear.
Oh yeah, you bet. That's kind of like anchovies. I don't even know what the difference is
Oh.
between sardines and anchovies.
They both smell bad.
They both look the same to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I only ate anchovies once
I think
accidentally.
that's just for like a fish, a cat.
Maybe so. People like that on their pizza, I think.
But then it's cooked.
True. Oh yeah. I mean, it can definitely be cooked. It probably should be cooked.
You can
yes.
eat it out of the can.
Okay. All right. Let's just stop there.
Okay.
That's
I might
enough of
throw
that.
up soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also other places, in case you're not into fatty fish, would be walnuts.
Walnut.
Walnuts are the only nut.
They're kind of an interesting.
They
They have to grow on you.
And they need to be sort of doctored, honestly, because most walnuts are sold to be baked with, right? They're for
Oh.
like, making cookies or something,
Yeah.
or
Bars.
muffins, or
Yeah.
banana bread. So they're not salted, they're not roasted, they're nothing, and so they are not delicious.
They're really not. I got some of these black walnuts. They were like in the clearance section at Dillon's,
Yeah,
and the bag was like $2.50.
yeah.
Marked
It's
down
a
from like
great bargain for
$10 or
walnuts.
something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it because
Mhm.
you're always talking about walnuts being good for you. So
Totally.
I put them in my salad, and they definitely have a distinct flavor,
They do.
and they're not so bad in my salad, to be
Mhm.
honest
Right.
with you. But I could not sit there and eat them on their own.
They're good if you have some like chocolate chips to go along with them.
Yeah, that would be good. Or sometimes I'll
Or
mix
raisins.
it in to my cashews because they're
Mhm.
already salted.
Right.
So doctor's them. So,
Yes.
anyway.
You could also like roast them and put a little salt on them yourself,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
then they might work.
Yeah.
Okay. Other places to get omega-3s are, I was thinking that too. You can get black walnuts.
I have
in my
some
old
black
neighborhood.
walnuts in my yard too, and
Yeah.
they just make me break my ankle.
Yeah, right. They're really annoying.
Yeah.
Squirrels like them.
Me too.
So other place to get your omega-3s, once again, chia seeds, because they're awesome.
Yeah.
But also flax seeds. But the thing that's important
yeah.
about flax seeds is they need to be ground, or it needs to be flaxseed oil.
Oh, yes. I actually mix ground flaxseed in bread.
Yes. Okay.
I like substitute that for some of the flour,
Mm.
and it actually doesn't make a difference consistent wise,
Mm.
but it gives a little extra omega.
Yeah. There you go. The thing about flax, and that's a good way to do it, because flaxseed oil has some flavor. Like
Oh.
to me, like chia seeds don't really have a flavor. They have some
Yeah.
texture that might get some getting used to, but flaxseed oil has more flavor, and so it's not as versatile in my opinion.
It sounds expensive too.
There's that. And then there's hemp seeds, actually, are also omega.
Everyone here in
3s.
Lawrence is about the hemp.
Right. And then soy foods again. Another place to get. Oh yeah,
Oh, granola.
yeah. So
Yeah,
flax is great to definitely like mix into things.
But if you're mixing your flax into your granola, should it be it should be the ground.
It's got to be ground still.
because you're not digesting the seed.
The whole seeds are
It'll
really
come
hard
out like
to,
corn.
Yeah, it's
Goes
really
in,
hard to crunch them up and break them
Comes
down.
out as corn.
They don't get digested.
No. The flaxseed goes in and comes out as a flaxseed.
Pretty
So
much.
ground. Get the ground.
Get it. So yeah, soy foods are also an omega-3, and then there are certain foods that have been maybe modified. I don't even know if it's still around, because I think it was a terrible idea, but like milk that had like
Oh.
omega-3s.
Do you know actually Horizon, the little kid
It's
milk,
Horizon, yeah.
right? They have this omega-3 milk. and
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you. I got one just to see what's the dealio here.
Yeah.
It tasted like fish.
I bet
had
it did.
Fishy taste.
You bet
No.
it does.
Your milk should not taste like fish. So I couldn't
Yeah.
even drink the whole thing.
Yeah.
I had to just dump it. None of my kids would even, like, they all tasted, they were like, oh, mommy, this is funny milk. Is this good, mommy? This isn't good.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't even think it's a thing anymore because it's a terrible idea.
It is with Horizon. They still do it. But
wow. I don't know. That's
I don't know
hardcore.
and you can't cover that stuff up with chocolate. Sorry.
No. Oh, fish and chocolate. Okay. All right now. But there are eggs. So now you can get like special omega-3 eggs because they treat they feed the chickens some
omega-3 feed. Yes, and I have chickens, and I actually do that in the winter. I do it all year round, but in the winter, because my chickens, because it's so cold outside, I'll oftentimes leave them in the coop. And so in the winter, I feed them omega-3 feed, and sometimes when they're out, I have to get the normal feed. And actually, their egg shell is completely it's different. So it becomes harder with the omega-3 feed versus the non-omega-3 feed. And I can see that even in a month.
Wow.
And but if you compare like my chicken egg to a store-bought egg, the store-bought egg shell is flimsier, so much flimsier than the omega-3 egg. So yeah.
There you go.
So it's definitely doing something.
It's definitely doing something. But it isn't a great source. Like it can't be your only source.
Right.
Okay. So it is a good place to get omega-3s, but you'd have to eat like a whole lot of eggs if that was the only place you're eating omegas. Good thing there's all these other places.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. Well, so tell us about triglycerides then. It's sort of like the flip side of the HDL, right?
Your triglycerides actually do a lot of storing too. So your triglyceride is a glycerol molecule with 3 fatty acids hanging off of it. And so if your sugar gets high, like say you have diabetes, or you're starting with diabetes, or you're going down the road of diabetes, well, what will happen is your sugar will get stored everywhere it can get stored. So it'll try to get stored in the liver, it'll get stored in the muscles, everywhere it can get stored. And then when it can't get stored anymore, but it's still hanging around, it'll be pushed into the fat system. And so it'll be stored as triglycerides. And so it's a glycerol molecule with 3 fatty acids hanging off the side. And then that thing can be broken up into 3 fatty acids and a glycerol molecule. And then the glycerol molecule, under gluconeogenesis, which is like creation of glucose, it becomes a sugar molecule again. So it can then be used again as energy. So, so if your blood sugar is high, your triglycerides are going to be high, right? Especially if it gets really high, then your triglycerides are going to be high. And so that is one way to decrease your triglycerides, right? Is decreasing the sugar in your diet. So if you take your triglycerides and you take your HDL, and you actually divide your triglycerides by your HDL, you'll get a number, okay? Usually, like most people I see, is somewhere between 2 and 3.
Right.
If you're actually greater than 3.5, then that actually puts you at a 16 times higher risk of heart disease. And what it tells us is that if you look at your LDL, right, the first thing we all talked about, then that tells us that most of the LDL that you have is going to be small, dense LDL. If you look at these two. So that's kind of how you can tie all 3 of them together.
Wow.
So when you're looking at your cholesterol, you want to look at all of the values, and then we want to improve everything because they all play a role with each other.
Right.
Really, in some fashion.
Right.
So
I think what you're saying is don't try to like figure out for yourself what your lipid profile means.
Looks like. Yeah, don't Google it.
No.
You'll have to like sit there forever and figure it out. So so like decreasing your sweet drinks, anything sugary.
Right.
That's going to not only help your triglycerides, it's going to help your blood sugar, right? But what else? We can also exercise.
Right. So exercise for sure.
That helps this one too.
The same stuff, the whole grains, the soluble fiber, the omega-3 fatty acids, these same things that are good for your good cholesterol are going to lower your triglycerides. The trans fats, saturated fat, all that good stuff. So it's all the same. It's all very similar. Okay.
Right.
Similar recommendations for all three of these.
It's very
Thankfully.
similar. The interesting thing about triglycerides is the sweet part.
Yes, that's the one difference.
There's another thing that you can modify to help with your triglycerides. So if you're consistently having high triglycerides and you can't get those down, you can't just decrease the bad fats and
Right, it's
increase
not
the
just
good
about
fats.
fat.
You also have to look at your blood, the sugars that you're taking in. So,
Right. So are you drinking stuff? Like it could be soda,
like
but it could also
soda,
just
juice.
it could just be juice.
Right.
We've talked probably about juice.
Yeah.
100% juice, like a serving is a quarter of a cup,
Right.
which
It's
is
small.
like a couple of sips.
Yeah. It's
So
small.
if
It's not
you're-
like that, we all know.
Yeah.
how
I mean,
much
if
sugar.
you're a normal person and you're trying to actually quench your thirst with juice, you're going to have too much juice.
Yeah.
Like it's really
it's more of a taste thing,
it's a
right?
couple of swigs,
Like,
and then move
just to
on
satisfy.
something else. Yeah.
Okay. So, anything else to tell on this
I think we've covered everything there is
Okay.
to know about
cholesterol?
cholesterol.
All right. So hopefully we have helped you guys to improve your cholesterol panel. You can look at it next time and kind of go through it, and improve the things that you can, and what you're left with, maybe you need medicine for.
Yes.
Don't feel bad,
and
because
that's
that
okay.
doesn't mean you're a failure.
Yeah.
And then so what are we going to talk about next time?
So next time we've got calcium, magnesium, and potassium,
Oh, okay.
which are electrolytes.
Electrolytes. Yes. So we are going to do that next time, and hopefully we'll figure out how to do our video again the way that we're trying to expand our technology lives. And so if you're someone that knows how to do that,
gosh,
then
please help
reach
us.
out to us, because we're messing it up.
We are hurting our brains trying
We
to
are.
figure this out.
And if you're not, then you can just laugh at us and keep going. All right, so we are going to say adios for today. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And if you have something you want us to talk about, like we always say, add it to, just message us or put it on one of these video things at the comments, and we'll add it to our list. We're looking for increasing our list, so help us out. And have a great day. Hopefully you guys don't get taken over by the cold Mageddon that's coming.
Ooh, stay warm out there. Actually, don't go out there.
Yeah, stay in.
Yeah.
Stay in. Stay by the fireplace and cuddle. Well, you know what that does. We don't want that. I'm done with that. Bye.